Hello, my name is Logan Day. I'm a supervisor for a company called Cintas, and I'm also a logistics officer in the U.S. Army Reserves. So I took the GRE because I'm applying to MBA programs, and my final score on December 31st, which is the last test I took, was a 328. I got a 163 on quant and 165 on verbal. That was my second GRE I took. I took one 3 weeks prior and got a 322, which is 161, 161. I think if I had taken, so I took a quantitative, not a quantitative, a diagnostic test a couple months before that and got a 309. But that was after studying for a little while. I think if I had taken a GRE diagnostic test cold, I probably would have hit like exactly 300 and maybe slightly below that because my math base was very, very low. So I had a really not conventional way of doing this. I got back from a deployment to Kuwait in June 2022, started looking at MBA programs in August, and realized I needed a GMAT or GRE score. I didn't have the quantitative background to get a GRE waiver or GMAT waiver. So I started studying in September with the plans on applying to MBA programs in round two. And for those that don't know, that round two usually ends early January for most programs, like January 5th and 4th are the big days. So I started studying September with the plan of applying round two. And the process was super stressful. So I got about 40% of the way through the GRE curriculum in target test prep. I did the full 40%, like I did every single item on there. But that was early December, so I started panicking, knowing I had like huge gaps in my knowledge. So I kind of sprinted through some of the coursework and I skipped some of the tests, which is something I wouldn't recommend. So I think if I had done the entire target test prep curriculum instead of kind of getting halfway through and starting sprinting and kind of hurriedly going through everything else, I could have gotten a much higher quant score. I'm really happy with my 163 on quant, but I think I could have had a 167 or higher if I had done the entire thing correctly, the way it's like meant to be. And I mentioned my deployment. I wish I had studied during the deployment. It was to Kuwait, so it wasn't the most exciting deployment. It's not like it's a war zone or anything. I definitely could have used that time more wisely instead of playing games on my computer, reading books. So I wish I'd done target test prep during the deployment. And I actually found target test prep on Reddit. The GMAT and GRE subreddits kind of swear by it. The thing that kind of scared me away from using it right away in August instead of when I started it in September was the fact that people had said they'd done like 30% of the coursework, but it took them like 150 hours. So I was like, there's no way I have that much time. I don't have like enough time to do a 500-hour course from September to December, and I really don't want to wait another year to apply to MBA programs. So that stopped me from using it in August when I should have started. I was using some other source material like Manhattan Prep, stuff like that, which there's nothing wrong with that coursework. It's just learning from a book is really hard for me. So I was struggling to relearn math concepts from a thick textbook and stuff like that. So about a month after practicing with Manhattan Prep and some other different books, I decided to start target test prep in September. Yeah, it's a pretty comprehensive course. That's why I only got through 40% of it in the 2 months I had. So, but that 40% I knew like the back of my hand, like the quadratic equation, stuff like that. It was second nature to me. They drill it into your head. It's like so frequently, it's hard to forget. Yeah, I used target test prep from September until my last test date in late December. And even a couple days before my last test, I was still working through new coursework. I was trying to fill in my gaps in knowledge. So, like literally a day before, 2 days before my last test, I was learning how to solve overlapping sets, which are questions you see fairly often in the GRE or GMAT. You'll have like one or two every test, like pretty much without fail. And I was astonished at the matrix that Target Test Prep had to figure out these questions. It seemed like magic to me. You just plug in the numbers and it spits out the right answer that you need. So that was pretty cool. But that's why I keep saying, I think if I'd done the entire coursework the way it's meant to be, I could have had a much higher score. My 163 is still decent, but I think I could have had a close to a perfect score if I did the entire course the entire way through like it's meant to be. And how Target Test Prep really helped me, it took the thinking out of planning my studying, which is huge. I was really struggling to come up with a good plan on how to study using the books. And Target Test Prep has a couple options where you can do like a calendar system or like a kind of like a big to-do list system. So in the calendar, it's really cool though. You can like set like, hey, on Saturdays and Sundays, I can do 4 hours of studying. Monday through Friday, I can do maybe an hour and a half, and it'll assign you an appropriate amount of work and quizzes with that. So I thought that was extremely helpful. Like it took the thinking out of it for planning. I just had to focus on the actual coursework and content, which is huge for me. And also, there's a couple more things I really liked about it. The custom tests are amazing. So in Target Test Prep, it'll allow you to create certain quizzes with specific things you want in them. So let's say you want to like hone your overlapping sets or your inequalities, stuff like that. You can pick those specific questions and the level of difficulty you want. So that was super helpful. So like last couple of days before my last test, I was hitting a couple of topics like just nonstop. I think it was exponents, and I'm trying to think of the other one that like I was really struggling with. So I kind of hit those questions nonstop like the last couple of days before the test. So it really helps you like specialize what you want to study on. Also, the repetition in the lessons, it seems like a lot. Like the first couple chapters, there might be like 15 quizzes like per chapter, but by the time you're done with all those quizzes, you know how to do the processes like a second nature. Like I said, the quadratic equation stuff. Like I don't think I'll ever forget like what x plus y like parentheses squared will be. I think it's just hammered into my head at this point. So the repetition's amazing too. You really like, it's not like you just learn the topic and go on. You learn it and then you master it with the repetition and the quizzes. And then also just the minute details the course goes into. It covers every possible question you can get for a certain topic. So it might seem like it's doing too much, but like it covers every variation of a question you can get, which is super helpful. But yeah, so I also, like I mentioned, I'm in the Army Reserves. There was a couple nights we had a field training exercise at Fort Bragg, and I was literally in my own little individual tent at 10 p.m., sleeping in the woods, trying to learn those inequalities. I think it was exponents and radicals, and I was just laying there with my little lamp trying to study this stuff. It's just goofy. But a lot of nights it was just me at my desk, like I am right now in this room, just locked in here, like a little hermit, trying to learn the material I'd forgotten from high school. My personal advice for using target test prep is give yourself enough time to actually do it the way it's meant to be done. I did it kind of in a dumb manner, only giving myself a couple months and having a really hard deadline. So I think if you give yourself a full 6 months to actually do the coursework, you'll get the intended results that you want if you actually give yourself enough time. Like I said, I'm happy with my 163 in 3 months of studying, but I think if I give myself 6 months and started studying during the deployment, I could have actually had a perfect-ish score on quant. So yeah, give yourself enough time to do the entire program. Target test prep works. You have to trust the process, and the team does a good job of like reassuring you. I remember at one point I messaged them like, because I was kind of doubting myself, like, hey, do you guys have any data on the average scores people get when they complete the entire course? And they responded really quickly and just like, hey, trust the process, like it'll work. And ultimately it did. You just can't get frustrated and quit because the course does work, but there'll be some nights where you get really frustrated, like you might not do as well on a quiz as the rest of the students doing the course do. But the process works. I really appreciate target test prep. It seems expensive, but it's absolutely worth it. Like it's like $99 for the base charge per month, and it was absolutely worth the score. So you can't afford not to use it if you want to get into an elite program. But yeah, that's my take on target test prep and my thoughts.